Hi guys, my name is Jake Rother. I'm going to read to you Before I Die by Zane Tomic. I lay flat on my stomach, looking through the scope of my rifle. The weapon sits firmly atop stacked sandbags. I surveil the area within proximity of my position with great precision. The thick tree branches and tall grass provide an excellent coat of camouflage that blends well with my dark green outfit. Basically, I am invisible to anyone in my general area. The unusual elements of the scorching hot Cambodian jungle is unforgivingly harsh. Mother Nature shows no mercy towards me as she unleashes the sun-sizzling rays upon the land. My uniform feels as if it weighs 100 pounds due to the excessive amount of sweat buildup that absorbed itself into the fabrics. Giant mosquitoes have a war on their own to fight, and I am their main target. One large wave of pests after another continually attack my body like a swarm of B-52s cutting through the air. My task is to provide surveillance and be alert of any suspicious activity that develops in the village of Songdo below. For weeks, there had been ongoing chatter amongst our officers that the villagers of Songdo were in great peril. The threat of Viet Cong attacks in the high as the village sits directly in the line of fire between us and the enemy. Shortly before the mission began, Lieutenant Leonard, my commanding officer and handler, briefed me on the ordeal. A garrison of South Vietnam and the United States soldiers were to arrive and provide support if a deadly situation my level of support were to arise in the village. They needed boots on the ground to watch for these impending attacks and have somebody there to forward the first-hand intel as soon as possible. I was chosen for this crucial assignment for a specific reason. They need the best for an operation like this, and I, John Elmer, an expert marksman, am their man. I have the best shot around. My comrades didn't dub me the Rifle King for my cooking skills, that's for sure. Before I knew it, I found myself in special forces. Time flies when you're focused on a war. 2 years, too long, grueling years have passed since I first arrived in Vietnam. The idea of home now sounds like a complex word of an unfamiliar language to me. The hilltop overlooking Sung Do has a significant incline to it, which gives me an excellent vantage point. I can see for miles beyond the canopy of the jungle as well as every square inch of the village. Nothing can escape my eye from this position. My rifle rests vertically on its stand, covered in a shroud of leaves and branches. The barrel of the gun peeks through a small opening in the wall. Covering me, I lightly tap my finger on the trigger, anxiously waiting for something to happen. Suddenly, a suspicious man down below catches my attention as he paces back and forth in front of a fish stand of a marketplace. His head is covered in a brown hood. I notice him reaching into his pocket. Out comes a tiny piece of destruction. A grenade! No doubt this man is an enemy of Viet Cong soldier. I quickly aim the sight of my rifle to his body. With a quick inhalation of humid jungle air and breathless pause, I pull the trigger. Civilians of Sung Do begin to disperse in uproar of panic from the sound of the gun's echoing boom. The Viet Cong soldier now lays flat on his back in the middle of the road, lifeless. Many Viet Cong soldiers begin to exit the bushes and swarm the village. They all appear out of nowhere and in great numbers. I realize the severity of the situation now, so I immediately reposition the scope and line up to the enemy targets that are flooding the area. One Viet Cong soldier opens fire on the fleeing civilians. His comrades follow his lead by throwing Molotov cocktails at houses, causing a fiery blaze in the streets. It is an artistic sight. I can feel the sickening agony of horror stab through the flesh of my soul. Large amounts of blood puddles in the grass and screams of suffering humans echo throughout the jungle. There is no time to waste as innocent people are dying before my very eyes. I was sworn to protect this village at all costs, And as every vital second passes by, the mission endures bitter taste of colossal failure. I must do what I can. I turned on the radio to contact my commanding officer stationed at our base not too far away from my position. The radio begins to ring a signal through the cable. No answer comes back. I pass on my coordinates and explain the deadly situation unfolding. Again, no response. 10 minutes pass before I finally hear a muffled voice come through the radio. It is Lieutenant Leonard. "Reinforcements en route to your position," he said. I replied back to acknowledge my understanding of his orders and quickly refocus my attention to the chaos erupting in front of me. I aim at another target with the click of the trigger. Another throbbing blast rings out the barrel of the rifle. The bullet pierces through two Viet Cong soldiers standing behind each other. Ironically, before I thought I went through training, the thought of taking another man's life chilled me to the bone. I never thought I'd actually be capable of such violence. This wasn't like playing with toy guns against my brother in the backyard. This was much bigger. Now, years later, I am living through the real thing. It's funny how life works sometimes. My imagination becoming my reality. But like all human beings, every person has their breaking point. Once you manage to bust through the shield that protects your mind, virtually anything becomes doable. Maintaining sanity through intense, difficult times like this can be an incredible challenge. I hope to never reach that level of foregone madness. A certain side must be released in time of war. A ruthless side. The problem is, the newfound dark side can consume a man very easily. I've heard too many dark stories from my comrades. Only your body knows when enough is enough. The mind can only take so much. One by one, I pick off the attackers causing havoc in the central area of the village. Flames from the fire consume the houses like an unstoppable force. I scramble mightily to defend the villagers with all the power I possess. I spot another small garrison of Viet Cong's forces enter the area from the north side. Soldiers charge up to the steep hills towards me. It is clear and alarming so that my position is about to be compromised. I try to bury myself in leaves and branches to avoid being in sight of the enemy. A faint noise comes from directly behind me. I turn my head quickly to investigate when all of a sudden a burning sensation envelops the upper right side of my body. I look over to see a hole in my right shoulder. A shock of agonizing pain takes a hold of every nerve inside my body. I have been shot. A great deal of blood spills out of my gaping wound. I slowly lift my head up to the Viet Cong forces gathering around me with their guns pointed. They all shriek like seagulls. A year of duty in Vietnam helped me develop an ear for a few words and phrases in Vietnam language. Clearly the soldiers were demanding that I surrender. This is not the time to be a reckless hero. I simply let go of my rifle, put my hands on the back of my head, and planted my face to the ground. In a helpless fashion, one of the soldiers came up to me and rested the barrel of his gun against my ear. He ordered me to get up. "Duck day! Duck day!" A Viet Cong guard loudly enters the cell, screeching like a siren. He slaps me hard on the head with a wooden stick. My eyes shoot open. Yet again, I had another nightmare about Song Do. It all happened nearly 2 weeks ago since arriving at this hellhole camp. Every single night consists of the same reoccurring nightmare that has plagued my mind since the day of massacre. The mental and physical agony this place put me through is starting to get me. And now is the time I had to fight the hardest.